Listen carefully. This message carries weight. It arrives as a divine alert meant for chosen ones walking a narrow path. Not everyone can receive it. Not everyone should. The discomfort rising right now serves a purpose. Truth often presses before it protects. This warning touches the unseen space between spirit and discipline, and that tension signals alignment, not fear. Years of training reveal a pattern rarely discussed. Certain warnings reach only those prepared to carry responsibility. This teaching uncovers how subtle influences enter life quietly, how a single presence can slow growth, blur clarity, and weaken inner stillness. Many mistake kindness for purity, familiarity for safety. That error costs time, energy, and destiny. Stay until the end, because understanding arrives in layers. First comes recognition, then discernment, then release. Each step strengthens awareness and restores inner authority. Missing one layer leaves the lesson incomplete. This message explains why intuition has stirred recently, why silence felt louder than noise, and why progress met invisible resistance. These signs never appear randomly, they arrive as guidance. Ancient Shaolin wisdom teaches vigilance without paranoia, strength without aggression, awareness without judgment. This video reveals a lesser-known truth. Danger often wears comfort, and spiritual tests arrive through people, not events. Learning this protects focus, preserves energy, and safeguards purpose. Take this moment seriously. Let the mind settle. Let the spirit listen. Welcome to Shaolin Divine Flow, a space for clarity, discipline, and divine alignment. Subscribe and walk this path with us. More teachings await, and each one builds strength from the inside out. Pay close attention. The first sign never looks dangerous. It looks safe. This man enters your life as someone familiar, someone easy to trust. His words feel supportive. His presence feels calm. He knows how to listen. He knows when to nod. He knows exactly how to say the right thing at the right moment. He offers help without being asked. He remembers small details about you. He agrees with your vision, at least on the surface. Around him, guards come down. Discernment softens. Caution fades. That is how trust forms, not through force, but through comfort. This man blends into your routine effortlessly. Conversations feel natural, laughter feels genuine. He mirrors your values, your beliefs, even your language. It feels like alignment. It feels like connection. Yet something deeper remains unsettled. Not loud, not obvious, just quiet enough to ignore. He presents himself as reliable. When challenges arise, he seems ready with advice. When doubts appear, he offers reassurance. His help feels timely. His words feel wise. But help can sometimes be a doorway, not a gift. Familiarity can become a veil. Trustworthiness can be performed. Watch closely. He asks many questions about your journey, your plans, your struggles. He collects information in the name of concern. He positions himself near your decision-making moments. His influence grows slowly, patiently, without resistance. The danger is not in what he says, but in how safe he feels. True alignment strengthens clarity. This presence subtly dulls it. True support leaves you lighter. This leaves you heavy, though you cannot explain why. The spirit senses what the mind excuses. Chosen ones often lower their guard around those who seem kind. That kindness becomes the disguise. Not every helping hand is sent to lift. Some arrive to observe. Some arrive to test awareness. And some arrive simply because your light gave them access. Listen deeper now. His words sound right. He speaks faith with confidence. He quotes wisdom easily. He offers encouragement that seems timely. On the surface, everything aligns. Yet beneath the sound of his voice, the spirit senses weight. A heaviness settles after the conversation ends. You notice it slowly. After speaking with him, motivation drops. Prayer feels distant. Focus scatters. Nothing dramatic happens. Yet something vital feels pulled away. True spiritual support sharpens vision. This presence clouds it. True wisdom brings peace. This leaves unrest. He knows how to speak about God, purpose, and destiny. But his words lack life. They sound learned, not lived. He encourages you but without fire. He advises patience but not movement. He supports you but only up to a limit. He never crosses himself. His energy resists growth, while his mouth celebrates it. When you rise, he subtly grounds you back to comfort. When urgency stirs in your spirit, he recommends delay. He frames caution as wisdom. He disguises fear as balance. Pay attention to the body. Shoulders tighten, breath shortens, joy dims slightly. These signals matter. The spirit communicates through sensation long before the mind understands. You are not weak for feeling this. You are perceptive. This man may not intend harm consciously. Heavy spirits often act from unresolved battles, unhealed envy, abandoned purpose, quiet resentment. Being near your clarity exposes his confusion. Being near your discipline highlights his compromise. So he stays close, not to learn, not to rise, but to stabilize himself through your strength. That exchange drains you slowly, almost politely. God's guidance never burdens. Divine alignment never exhausts. Support sent from above leaves you clearer, lighter, stronger. When presence alone creates fatigue, it is not random, it is revelation unfolding. This is why discernment matters more than words. Spirits speak louder than sentences, and the warning you feel now is not judgment. It is protection preparing you for separation and strength. Notice the shift. Support turns into observation. His attention sharpens, but not in a way that uplifts. He watches how you move, how you respond, how you decide. He remembers your weaknesses more clearly than your victories. His interest feels focused, almost strategic. He asks thoughtful questions, not all at once, slowly, over time. Questions about your fears, your habits, your doubts. He listens closely, storing details. It feels like care. It feels like concern. Yet true support empowers without collecting leverage. When you struggle, he is present. When you succeed, his presence fades. Celebration feels muted around him. Silence replaces encouragement. The imbalance reveals itself quietly. He learns when you are open. He withdraws when you are strong. He studies your reactions. Which words unsettle you? Which topics energize you? Which moments make you hesitate? He adjusts his tone accordingly, not to heal, but to influence. This is subtle, almost invisible, but the spirit recognizes patterns the mind overlooks. You begin to sense restraint in yourself. You speak less freely. You share cautiously. Something within you holds back, though you cannot name why. This is awareness awakening. Support should expand expression. Surveillance shrinks it. He positions himself close to your inner world, close enough to see cracks, close enough to anticipate movement, yet he rarely offers tools, only commentary, rarely offers action, only analysis. Knowledge without encouragement becomes control. Chosen ones attract watchers before they attract helpers. Those drawn to your light sometimes want proximity, not participation. They observe strength they never cultivated. They analyze discipline they never practiced. This is not about accusation. It is about clarity. God reveals through patterns, not confrontation. When someone tracks your progress more than they celebrate it, when they know your struggles better than your goals, discernment is speaking. You are not meant to be examined. You are meant to be supported. And the awareness rising now is the beginning of rightful distance. Watch his reaction when your life begins to move forward. Growth reveals everything. When doors open for you, his smile tightens. When clarity increases, his enthusiasm fades. He listens, but his spirit shifts. Success around you creates discomfort within him. Your progress becomes a mirror he cannot avoid. Each step you take toward purpose reminds him of steps he delayed. Each moment of obedience highlights his hesitation. He does not speak against your growth, yet his energy pulls away from it. When you draw closer to God, the distance between you widens. Conversations feel strained. Shared moments lose warmth. He may question your intensity, suggest moderation, or label your devotion as excessive, not openly critical, just enough to slow momentum. He frames concern as care, balance as wisdom, rest as necessity. But beneath those words, life's resistance. Alignment exposes misalignment. Fire unsettles those who prefer comfort. Notice how he reacts when you speak with conviction. When certainty replaces doubt, when your voice carries authority, he grows quiet, or changes the subject, or redirects attention back to practical worries. He grounds the spiritual into the ordinary, not to anchor you, but to lower the flame. This uneasiness is not always conscious. Many carry unresolved grief about paths they never walked. Your obedience becomes a reminder of courage. They postponed. Instead of rising, they seek proximity. Instead of changing, they seek control. God often separates before elevation, not because connection was evil, but because alignment has shifted. Some people fit the old version of you. Growth creates new requirements. You are not responsible for his comfort. You are responsible for your calling. The tension you feel now is not conflict. It is clarity increasing. When spiritual growth causes relational strain, heaven is rearranging your environment. Pay attention to who celebrates your closeness to God and who becomes uneasy in its presence. The difference reveals who can walk with you into what comes next. Notice the subtlety. He does not attack your faith directly. He introduces questions that sound reasonable. Small pauses, gentle hesitations, a raised eyebrow, a quiet suggestion that maybe this path is risky or the timing is off. Doubt enters softly, wearing the mask of logic. He speaks in possibilities, not statements. Words like maybe, just be careful, or are you sure appear often. Fear grows not through alarm, but through repetition. Confusion settles when clarity once lived. You begin to second-guess decisions that once felt certain. He reframes your intuition as emotion, your obedience as impulsive, your courage as recklessness. Nothing extreme, nothing obvious, just enough to loosen confidence, just enough to slow momentum. After conversations with him, thoughts loop. Inner stillness fractures. Prayer feels crowded. Discernment becomes noisy. You search for reassurance where you once walked with peace. This is not healthy reflection. This is spiritual interference. True guidance simplifies. This influence complicates. True counsel strengthens trust in God. This redirects trust toward human reasoning. Fear becomes disguised as responsibility. Doubt becomes disguised as maturity. He reminds you of past failures at moments when faith calls for action. He highlights obstacles when doors begin to open. He questions worthiness when you step forward. Seeds planted in vulnerable moments grow quietly. Confusion is not from God. Fear is not his language. When these increase through a relationship, something is misaligned. The spirit feels it first. Tight chest, restless mind, hesitation without cause. This is how delay works. Not through opposition but through distraction. Not through attack but through erosion. Confidence does not disappear overnight. It thins. Awareness breaks the pattern. Seeing this dynamic restores authority. You were never meant to carry confusion as wisdom or fear as guidance. The stirring within you now is clarity returning, and clarity prepares the ground for separation and forward movement. Pay attention to how you feel after speaking with him, not during, after. The conversation may seem normal, even pleasant, yet once it ends, something feels taken. Energy lowers, focus fades, a quiet tiredness settles without physical cause. You replay the exchange in your mind. Words echo longer than they should. Thoughts feel heavier. Motivation slows. This is not the result of deep discussion. It is the effect of imbalance. True connection leaves you strengthened. This leaves depletion. He may talk at length, drawing from your attention. He may lean on your clarity, your listening, your calm. You carry the weight while he unloads. Over time, this exchange becomes uneven. You give more than you receive. Spiritual energy is subtle but real. When someone consistently leaves you fatigued, something is being taken without replenishment. You may notice less desire to pray, less excitement to create, less fire to move forward. These are signals, not coincidences. Your body recognizes misalignment before the mind accepts it. Shoulders drop, breath shortens, posture closes. These reactions reveal truth beyond words. Ignoring them weakens intuition. He benefits from your presence. You suffer from his. that contrast matters. Support should restore balance. Fellowship should multiply strength. Anything that drains repeatedly deserves examination. This does not always come from malice. Some people feed on proximity to light. Because they lack their own source, they are drawn to clarity they never cultivated. Instead of developing discipline, they attach to it. God never sends relationships that require constant recovery. Rest follows alignment. Fatigue follows misuse. When exhaustion appears without effort, awareness is required. You are not meant to be a reservoir for unresolved spirits. You are meant to be a channel flowing freely. Energy returns when boundaries form. The heaviness lifts when distance increases. The tiredness you feel is not weakness. It is wisdom speaking through sensation. Listen. Look closely at the smile. It stays fixed, but the eyes shift. Praise comes out, yet warmth does not follow. He congratulates you, but something in his tone feels hollow. This is resentment dressed as politeness. He hears about your calling and nods in agreement. He says the right words. He offers surface encouragement, but his spirit tightens. The joy does not reach his core. Instead of celebration, there is comparison. Instead of honor, there is quiet irritation. Your purpose awakens something uncomfortable in him. Not because your calling is wrong, but because it highlights what he ignored. Calling demands sacrifice, discipline, surrender. Watching you answer that call confronts his delay. So he smiles. He stays agreeable, he keeps close. Not to support, but to stay relevant. Distance would force reflection. Proximity allows avoidance. You may notice subtle competition, small corrections, a need to advise even when unasked. He positions himself as equal or superior to soften the gap your growth creates. This is not guidance. It is insecurity protecting itself. Resentment rarely announces itself loudly. It leaks through timing, tone, and energy. It shows up when applause is brief, when silence replaces encouragement, when questions replace congratulations. Chosen ones often trigger resistance simply by obeying. Your movement stirs what others suppressed. That friction does not always turn into open opposition. Sometimes it hides behind kindness. This hidden resentment influences atmosphere. You feel less free around him, less expressive, less bold. Something in you dims to keep peace. That is not alignment. That is accommodation. God does not ask you to shrink to preserve relationships. Calling expands. Those meant to walk with you expand too. Those who resent will eventually reveal themselves through discomfort. The smile is not the truth. The spirit is. And your awareness of this dynamic signals readiness for separation without guilt and progress without apology. Notice the patterns carefully. Nothing he does is overtly harmful. There is no attack, no sabotage, no dramatic confrontation. His interference comes quietly, almost politely. He delays you through distraction, not destruction. The path to your purpose remains open, yet he diverts attention, energy, and focus. Conversations drift toward trivial matters. Meetings extend without necessity. Advice lingers in circles rather than moving forward. Your attention is drawn sideways, away from progress. The momentum you feel internally slows without warning. He does not block doors. He subtly shifts your steps. Time becomes the tool. Minutes stretch into hours. Weeks pass with small delays that feel unavoidable. The weight is gentle but persistent. It is not obvious at first. You think you are busy, caught in routine, or simply tired. But deeper observation reveals the pattern. Your path is being softened, not shattered. He speaks of caution constantly, framing patience as wisdom. He magnifies minor obstacles and overlooks blessings already present. The mind argues practicality, but the spirit senses manipulation. Focus wanes. Initiative hesitates. Energy disperses in ways that feel necessary but are unnecessary. This is strategic. Distraction forces awareness. Distraction allows control without conflict. He keeps close, yet you wander from purpose without realizing it. Opportunities appear, but attention drifts. Intentions remain clear, yet execution becomes delayed. God allows this observation to awaken discernment. The spirit notices subtle interference before the mind fully understands. Growth signals its own enemies through delay, distraction, and dissonance. Chosen ones encounter these gentle delays because light provokes subtle resistance. Those unwilling to step into responsibility cannot tolerate another's calling without comparison or discomfort. The presence that delays is not meant to define your path. It teaches vigilance, it trains patience, and it reminds you that progress aligned with God never stops entirely, even when others attempt to redirect the journey. Awareness transforms distraction into clarity and prepares the way for unhindered movement forward. Pay attention to the moments you brushed off. God has been speaking long before this man appeared clearly in your life. Signs whispered through situations, people, and intuition. Small alerts that felt like coincidence were not. They were guidance, precise and intentional, meant to protect you. Perhaps a conversation left you uneasy. Perhaps a gut feeling nudged your spirit in a certain direction. Perhaps repeated patterns appeared that you excused as timing or circumstance. Each of these was a sign. Each of these was a gentle warning. You ignored them, not out of stubbornness, but because life demanded your trust in the familiar. Comfort feels safer than vigilance. Familiarity feels easier than discernment. But God speaks differently to those chosen to rise. Clarity comes not with force, but with persistence, showing itself in patterns you cannot overlook forever. Even small, subtle discomforts were indicators. Moments when your spirit tensed without reason. Moments when conversation left you heavier than it should. Moments when progress felt slowed inexplicably. These were the footprints of guidance. God works quietly, arranging circumstances, repeating lessons, and creating situations that call for awareness. Warnings often come softly, hidden in normalcy, waiting for the spirit to recognize them. Ignoring them does not cancel their truth, it only prolongs clarity. The patterns are consistent. Your intuition reacted first. Your spirit hesitated before your mind understood. That hesitation is sacred. It signals alignment with divine protection. The discomfort you felt, the questions that lingered, the unease in interactions, all of it was preparation. Chosen ones often overlook signs because they seem ordinary, harmless, or subtle. Yet these signals are divine markers designed to preserve purpose and protect potential. Awareness now is recognition awakening. Seeing what you once ignored is not regret, it is empowerment. God has always been present, guiding, cautioning, and illuminating. The awakening now is a chance to honor those signs, listen deeply, and align fully with what is meant to unfold in your life. Understand this clearly. Distance does not equal failure. Separation from this man is not punishment. It is divine protection. It is a shield placed around your spirit before harm arrives. Even harm you cannot yet see. The moment you recognize heaviness, doubt, or subtle manipulation, God is already guiding you towards safety. Stepping back feels uncomfortable because the heart resists detachment from familiarity. Comfort creates attachment, even when it carries danger. Leaving does not make you unkind. It does not make you weak. It does not erase your compassion. It honors your calling, preserves your energy, and aligns you with divine timing. Protection arrives quietly. It does not shout or force action. Instead, it opens your awareness to boundaries that must exist. You begin to see clearly where influence strengthens and where influence diminishes. You feel the subtle shift in energy when presence is removed. The heaviness lifts, clarity returns. Motivation reappears. God separates not to isolate, but to purify. Not to punish, but to prepare. Not to close doors, but to open the right ones at the right time. Each step back is a step forward toward alignment. Each moment of distance restores inner authority and spiritual balance. Separation teaches discernment. It trains the spirit to recognize subtle interference. It clarifies relationships that are meant to nourish versus those that consume. It reinforces the truth that your calling matters more than anyone else's comfort. Walking away is obedience, not rejection. Choosing clarity over distraction is faith, not fear. Boundaries are strength, not arrogance. When you honor divine protection, your path becomes lighter, your steps surer, and your spirit freer. You are not abandoning anyone. You are choosing God's timing over human approval. You are creating space for blessing, for clarity, for purpose, and in that space the light meant for you shines unobstructed. Chosen ones carry light that others cannot always bear. Your clarity, your purpose, your faith, these draw attention from those unprepared for their own growth. People who feel incomplete, fearful, or stagnant are often drawn to your energy, seeking familiarity instead of alignment. This is not your burden. It is a sign of the power and responsibility you carry. God wants you to rise above distraction, to honor the signs He has placed before you, and to protect the calling He has entrusted to your spirit. Step back from those who drain, confuse, or resist. Surround yourself with presence that uplifts, words that encourage, and energy that aligns with your purpose. Pray for guidance, trust your intuition, and allow divine protection to guide each step. Your path will not be easy, but it will be precise. Each separation strengthens your resolve. Each act of discernment clears the way for greater clarity, greater blessing, and greater alignment with God's plan. If this message spoke to you, like this video and subscribe to Shaolin Divine Flow to continue walking this path of awareness, strength, and spiritual growth. Remember, light attracts shadows, but your light is meant to shine unapologetically, without compromise. Stand firm, stay aligned, and let your spirit lead the way.